Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Jared. Merry Christmas if this video goes up at Christmas or just after Christmas. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed your Christmas with your family. Today I'm going to do some work on the Skyline. I've actually picked up some brake stuff that I want to do to upgrade and refresh the system. As you can see at the moment, my V35 Skyline has the Brembo pack option. You can see here, and the calipers are pretty chipped and faded and the Brembo logo's pretty much disappeared. Also on the front here, you can see how much of a lip I've got here. Same on the outside here. I'm pretty sure that these might be the original rotors from the car brand new. They're super glazed, as you can see. I've still got a bit of pad left, but since I've owned it the last 70,000 Ks, I haven't even changed brake pads or rotors because I don't really wear through them that quickly. Same deal on the back here. You can see I actually just changed these brake pads on the back, and I put original Brembo pads in there just so I could pass roadworthy. The lip isn't quite as bad on the back here as the front, because most of the braking happens in the front. So what I've picked up is actually some DBA slotted rotors, front and rear. So I've got 4 of them here. These are the T3 model. I've got the T2 on the Civic out there, and they're really great. I really like them. They come with the center already painted, Australian company, Australian made. Unfortunately with the Skyline, they only make T3 Brembo discs, so you can't actually get T2, so you have to go for the more expensive T3 option. So these are the front and these are the rear. Both look pretty good. And you can see these are really thick, big discs, pretty heavy duty. The T3 actually comes with this color chart. It tells you what temperature when the colors glow. So you've got these 3 colors here that will glow depending on the temperature of the disc. So if you're after the part number, that is for the rear and that is for the front. They actually didn't have these Brembo parts listed for a V35 Skyline. They had them under 350Z. I've also gone and got some Intima brake pads. I've seen a lot of people using Intima brake pads and I just wanted to give them a go. So these are the 0 to 600 degree pads. And I've just ordered some for the front because that's where most of the braking happens. And like I said, on the rear, I just put brand new Brembo pads in only a few months ago when I did the roadworthy. That's the part number for the front brakes. And interestingly, it says Honda Integra Type R. So I guess the Brembo calipers on the Skylines and V35s are the same Brembos they put on the Type R. The pads and the discs I bought from Automotive Superstore based in Sydney, and it took about 3 weeks for it to come. So I guess they're sort of drop shipping it from the supplier itself. And I assume with these Brembo 350Z and V35 Skylines that the brakes aren't that common. I believe they are similar to like an R34 GTR brake. They might be the same, but I think the part number is slightly different. At the same time, I went to Super Cheap and I picked up this Cortesa Gold paint. It's a duplicate one. You can get it as like a touch-up. I just got 2 of them just in case. I've used these little cans with this color actually before to do some wheels, and I really like the color and everything. And I'm just going to finish it off with a cheap clear, and I've got some Brembo decals to replace, but these ones are in black and I think they'll look a little bit better than the red that's on there already. I know what people are going to say, oh, you're painting calipers, you need caliper paint. I've painted quite a few calipers before just with standard paint, and it works fine. It doesn't bubble, it doesn't wrinkle, it doesn't deteriorate or flake off later. As long as you prepare the surface first, then you can get a really good finish that will actually last quite some time. If you are going to track the car and get up to that 600-800 degree temperature, then yeah, maybe go use the caliper paint. But for street driving and sort of tow use, just normal paint's fine, it's not going to deteriorate. Alright, so I'm just going to start on the front here and remove everything off and just check the parts I've got are correct first. And then after that we might get on to painting the calipers. Now we've got all the discs off and I've got all the pads out. I'm going to start with cleaning up on the calipers. So the calipers I just put on the car loosely with the bolts in them. So I just got the bolts in it loosely on the car just so it doesn't move around and we can clean it up and everything. Got an air gun. It's going to help a bit. I'm just going to blow everything and clean it up and get as much dust out as possible. We are going to be focusing our attention on the front and the top here, not so much inside and on the back because no one's going to see that. And then once we're done that side, we're going to go around and do all four of them. Just gone over with a steel little brush like this over the caliper and just cleaned all the dust off inside and blew everything first. Alright guys, it's the next day. I've let the brakes cure overnight, so the primer is now properly set. I've had it sometimes where if I go too quickly with the colour over the primer, they can react and you get some bubbling in the paint, so it's better to try and leave it for at least 24 hours. It's been pretty warm here, like over 20 degrees, pretty much overnight as well, so it's cured very well. Also, how many coats and how thick you do it is going to depend on how long it takes to dry as well. So this is now what it looks like after drying. You can see it's quite glossy actually. And now we're ready with the Corteza Gold to go over and do the first coat. This is the result after 3.5 coats of paint. So that one can, I was able to get 3 full coats, and then on the last coat I just focused on the front and the top, so I was able to get 4 coats on that, but then 3 inside and on the back and that type of section. So then just need to go back now with the clear and finish it off after I let this dry for another hour. Alright, now that the paint is dried, we can go back with the clear and we can start doing our 3 to 4 coats of clear as well. The more clear you put on it, the better protection from the paint underneath you're going to have. Same story, just leave like 5, 10, 15 minutes between coats depending on the temperature. Alright guys, so I've tossed the wheels back on, lowered it down. One thing I just wanted to note, before you go drive the car or move the car, I suggest you pump the pedal a few times just to take up that gap that we've pressed back on the pistons on the caliper. Otherwise you'll start driving, you go to press the brake and you'll need to do it once or twice before it actually takes up that difference. Also, after you do that, double check the brake fluid level. So you've pumped out some of the fluid, and then when you reapply the brakes it'll go down again, so you'll need to top it up with some of the fluid you've taken out or add some new fluid in. Alright, so after you've pumped your brakes a few times, you've started the car, you're ready to go, don't forget about the brake pad bedding in procedure. So Intima here have some instructions on how they recommend bedding in their brake pad, which is pretty generic for most brands. So you want to do 3 stops from about 60 or 70 kilometers per hour and do a slow brake. And then you want to go back and do 3 to 5 heavy stops at about the same speed and don't ride the brake. So this is going to just glaze off the surface material and it's going to create a good contact surface between the discs and the pad. If you don't do this properly, you can glaze the pads and the disc, and forever the life of the pad, you're going to have issues with it squealing and making noise, and it's not going to perform as great as possible. Alright, so following Intima's instructions here, I'm going to start off with the 5 slowdowns from moderate speed 60 kilometers per hour to 10 kilometers per hour, and we're going to leave about 10 to 20 seconds between the slowdowns, so we're not coming to a complete stop. Make sure no one's behind you when you do this. I'm going to brake, alright?
Whoa!
Okay, do another one now. I came to a stop by accident. I think something's right. Shouldn't be making that noise. But I'm a bit weird, this sound. Like, it's not normal to have that sound. Alright lads, so you notice in the last clip there was a bit of the noise when we were driving. I come back, and if you've had a keen eye, you've probably seen in the footage before, but the metal plate, I've just installed it the wrong way around. That goes on top of the calipers. The other side, which I did first, I actually installed correctly, and then the second side I did, which I filmed, I put in incorrectly. I don't know why. All the other ones were the same except that one. So then after I fixed that, I went out for a bit more of a drive, and the brakes actually feel quite a bit better than the ones did before. Before it was really hard even to lock up the brakes, and now I can sort of get ABS to engage, and it seems like the next limitation is the tyres. So the front tyres are squealing when you excessively apply the brake. I did 10 hard stops from 80 k's an hour after I bedded them in, and I didn't feel any brake fade, which is really good. I am not as impressed with these pads as the L-League pads. So on the Civic, the Civic's brakes have L-League pads and D2 slotted rotors. I just feel like the initial bite and the performance on those L-League pads is a lot better than these Intima pads. So in hindsight, maybe next time I'll go back to L-League and try them out. Knowing that they are Type R pads, I can go to JDM Yard and buy some Type R pads off the shelf and throw these in later. But for now, I'm going to stick with these Intima ones and give them a bit more of a long-term feel to see how I feel about them. Alright guys, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.